This is Jonathan Kirchning hanging out with Comcast to tell our 50 summer stories of Pittsburgh tech. And I'm kind of pumped about today because today we're actually recording this on August the 18th, which happens to be the 12-year anniversary of Rivers Agile, the company that I'm talking to today, with one Ben Wilson hanging out with us today. Ben, thanks for hanging out and happy birthday, man.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm very happy to be here. It is a big day for us, turning 12. It's small businesses rarely make it past year one or year two.
Exactly. No, I thought you made it past this point where you're going to survive. You're going to survive.
we're way past that. Now we're thinking, okay, so how do we navigate things like a pandemic? How do we navigate
little things like a pandemic, right?
Yeah. But every business has challenges right now, and it's the leaders that will take their company through this and rise above, right? So you have to put that mindset into place and make sure that you're driving your company right through this thing, and hopefully on the other side of it, we have a little bit of a normalized business climate, right?
That's what the plan is, and I love that attitude, man, 100%. And with all things we have to talk about today, this is exactly what you're doing right now, man. I feel like you got this semi trucking down the road at 60, and you're just gonna bash right through it, man.
We're trying for sure, and we do have some positive momentum. I'm very excited about it, and I think that what we're going to talk about today really aligns with the summer of tech stories that you put together, which is such a great program.
Thanks,
because this mode of storytelling in this era is very interesting. Everybody has a story to tell, first of all, whether it's good or bad. How are these companies morphing? How is Pittsburgh tech adapting to the changing landscape? And it does seem to change every few weeks.
Doesn't it? I mean, seriously, just when you think we have something kind of figured out, like, oh, this is where it's going, and then nope, but then adapt and adjust and course correct and everything.
And I think that's part of the theme, though, which is, an organization's ability to adapt. And sometimes that's easier said than done, of course. But those are the ones that I think are going to come out, looking the best or more whole.
I agree. So before we jump into the conversation, I always like to make sure, in case anyone's new to the game here and they don't know who you are, what Rivers Agile is all about, give us the quick nickel tour about all the great stuff that Rivers does.
Well, sure. So as you mentioned, we're 12 years old, and 12 years ago, we were a unique boutique little organization that had a better version of quality assurance that they took to new clients, right? And helped them see that an elevated role of QA could proactively get them to market faster, with less risk, more predictability, right? And that was the roots of the company. Of course, we've morphed since then. Over the years, we've become a wholesale, from design through deployment and maintenance organization focused on tech innovation here in Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
And we did that for a number of years, and now we even have another chapter, which is the workshop, which the last time I spoke with you, we talked about. And I'll tell you, it's been really well received, right? We are helping organizations get to that next level of reinvestment. And we do that by putting some of our own skin into the game, right? Now, the longer term strategy for the company is a better valuation for the firm, deeper roots into Pittsburgh tech itself, right? To say, not only did we help put that into the market, but we put some skin in the game, and now we're a partner with you, a long-term partner. And we love being that company, right? We still push out, at least 6 to 12 new technologies every year. We do that through our clients. And it's just a little bit of a different model on how we do it, right?
It's a very different model. That's why I love it. I think it's just so unique, and I'm so thrilled that you're doing that here in Pittsburgh.
Well, and this goes back to adaptation. We have tons of new innovation that could come out of Pittsburgh, and yet the traditional VC routes or funding routes have been a little gun shy, naturally, of course, and maybe the minimums or the models that they're looking at with their due diligence have changed a little bit, right? Because risk is extremely scary right now. And so, a tolerance for that has gone down.
Exactly.
So I think that's one of the reasons why we've had so much interest and volume for the workshop, which is because it's a little non-traditional. And it also puts a stake in the ground that says, we are here with you, and we want to work with you and partner with you as opposed to just being a service-based organization.
Exactly. I mean, you're putting manpower to it, you're putting investment into it. So it's like you're there
for sure
success, right?
Right. And, believe me, investing in startups right now for anyone, including Rivers, is a little bit risky. But, through our due diligence and when we start working with the leadership team, and, for example, FiCrowd, who we're going to talk about today, their leadership team has multiple wins on their belt already. And, it's easy to gravitate towards those who have done it before and have had success before, right? And that's part of our due diligence. So, I'm very excited about that. They are the first organization or first company to come through the workshop. And so, of course, we internally at Rivers are very excited about that.
Of course, it's your first baby. Come on, this is
right.
awesome.
We're very excited.
I love it.
And the model is just expanding now. And I think now that people have heard that we're actually processing applications, we are, investing into companies.
Yep.
Now it seems to the word has gotten out a little bit.
The word's going to spread. And in Pittsburgh, we know it's a small town. They're going to see the results that are coming out of this, and people are going to be a part of it. So be careful what you wish for, Ben. It might get a little crazy, but that's a good thing.
Right.
That's very cool. So so tell us about FiCrowd and what this is all about. Give us the details here. I'm excited.
So it's a client-centric interactive platform that allows for local banks, credit unions, CUSOs to easily spin up a campaign. All right. So and this is very timely because there are times right now where organizations need a crowdsourcing model to help them move to the next step or to even survive. Exactly. Or maybe their needs exceed what the PPP offered and what the state is offering in terms of emergency funding. And so it's actually extremely timely to be offering something like this, because this is another option that organizations do need today, right? And the crowdsourcing focus allows for sort of quicker turnaround, less paperwork, things like that, right? And so,
absolutely. Of course.
It's designed to be a custom turnkey solution. So if you have a credit union and I have a regional bank, having your own version of that is built into the vision of it. And so it's not a restart from the beginning. It was anticipated. It was built and architected in anticipation of that need.
Exactly. So that way that you're not starting from scratch with each implementation of it, correct?
Exactly.
Very, very cool.
And so, our role within this engagement, our goal again is to get them into a refundable situation, right? And we do that through our engineering resources, right? So we're providing, UX, product management, software development, QA, all as part of that investment. And we know that the outcome of that is that they're coming out with less risk. The project's on time, under budget as anticipated.
Exactly. Those are all pluses right there.
They're all pluses that you must do.
That never really happened in the real world under more traditional ways of doing this, right?
And we're able to do that consistently, and it's working well. And don't forget, these are, this is an investment for us too. And so, knowing that we can get it to market, during these times is a bonus for sure.
Very cool. And so tell us a little bit about the engagement with them. I mean, like how long, when did this start? And what was the time when you first started tapping away at code into getting it?
We met probably over a year ago.
Okay.
And at the time they had an idea. They're industry experts. They come from the space. They know that there's a need. The credit unions and local banks have a purposeful footprint in their local area to help those organizations. That's part of their mission, right? And this tool helps them get there. And so that's why it's so important. And that's why so many people are excited for this to come out. And the project's going really well. We're almost through the MVP stage, in which case, there are plenty of clients already lined up, sort of in anticipation of its completion. So we have momentum for sure. Our role is on the technical and the advisory side. And, we work with their CTO specifically. We're their engineering arm for now. And, it's working really well. I will tell you that we had many a whiteboard session before we even put, one line of code. But it was important to take our time and to make sure we're building the right thing, especially during these times when that it's going to help people almost immediately.
So you had extra incentive to really get this thing out because it can make such a difference to a small business. Like when I look at some of the work that Honeycomb Credit's done with their version of doing some crowdsourcing for people to raise money for their companies, and literally someone, if they can raise $20,000, that will save their business. And if they can do it through actually people buying gift cards through them that they can't use for another year as a way to get some cash into the business, and someone else can get a product later. So you just know that wow, we're building something that's going to make an impact. I just love that.
I think as an organization, you have to think about the region in which you serve, right? Having some impact by investing in this organization feels good to us internally, right? We know that we're doing some good here. And so, the team is very excited about it, and we can't wait for it to come out. So
I believe it. No, you got to be just completely stoked as far as it goes. How much of an impact was COVID-19 in developing this, where all of a sudden you couldn't be at the whiteboard together? You had to do the virtual whiteboards and so forth. Was that much of a slowdown?
Not as much as you would think. Huh. Thankfully, we had done a lot of that whiteboarding prior to.
Okay, cool.
So we had already kind of had a vision as to what this MVP would be. Gotcha. Of course, I'm the first one to say that, virtual whiteboarding is just not the same. However, thankfully, the timing of this worked out pretty well, where we had already had those conversations, over the last handful of months to sort of get to this point.
Very cool. I mean, FiCrowd sounds like an awesome company, and how cool is it that you're like the engineering arm of this thing in order to get it out and about. So tell us more about the Rivers Agile Workshop just in general, because obviously I know you're always gonna be looking for new companies and ideas in which to help build that product for them and be that partner with them.
We are. It's part of a growth model for Rivers Agile. We, as we talked about last time, this whole workshop idea was sort of born, on the beach, and how we can grow the organization, have more impact here locally, and we settled on the workshop. And it's, as a summary for the workshop itself, we are putting our own dollars into clients that we believe in that have a technical focus. We are focused on fintech, obviously, with FiCrowd, and then machine learning, IoT as well, right?
Very cool.
And so those are areas that we think are the next growth sectors, for the industry. That's not a surprise. So do many other people. But we know that that's where we want to hang our hat. And so we look for organizations that are delivering or want to deliver a solution that has some of those components into it, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's working well. There does not seem to be a shortage of local entrepreneurs or small businesses that are trying to take the next step with tech that are interested in the program itself. So we're excited about it. We are fielding applications for the next round, of course. But right now, our hyper focus is on FiCrowd and making sure that our first investment goes very well.
Oh yeah, you got to put all money, all resources, all energy right into that, and it looks like that's going to do so well too, which I'm just really excited about. So I'm looking forward to talking to you again to hear about all the success that it's having, because I know that's going to be the next story that you guys.
Well, I think the next story we might be telling is how did FiCrowd end up once they came out of the workshop, and who else are we considering, or have we just invested in ourselves, right?
Exactly.
We have a group of local venture capitalists that are very interested in this program, because they see this as a consistent engineering resource.
Exactly.
Their own skin in the game.
I love it.
Why don't we want to work with them? So now we're getting questions of what are you considering investing in next? Maybe that's something we should look at as well.
Right. No, absolutely. That is just so cool when I think about that whole aspect that, like a venture capitalist, they want to make sure in their investment that they got the right engineering team, that they have a trust and they know your experience. Why would they not work with you on this?
It's almost predictable. I mean, why as an investor wouldn't you want a partner that specializes in this space, that's consistent with their output, and frankly does what they said they would do, right?
Because you want to stabilize as much things as you can. You want to mitigate as much risk as possible. Exactly. And one of the biggest parts of the risk is getting through
overrun projects are probably your one of your biggest risks when you first invest into a small startup, right? With that anticipation of a cost for an MVP. If it doubles, well, somebody didn't do their job. Right?
Exactly. All of a sudden your investment is worth half as much. So it's like, oh goodness.
Oh, exactly.
That's crazy. So I know on your website, people go to riversagile.com/RAW for Rivers Agile Workshop. You can get more details there. Can you also kind of like inquire through there as well too, or find out when you inquire based on your cycles and so forth?
You can, there's an open portal there for you to get more information, to sign up, to get contacted. We want to hear from you. We want to know, what are you thinking about building, or what are you trying to build right now? Or what are you in the process of building, and can we help?
Exactly. Because it's always worth the conversation, because some of the coolest things pop up because someone asked, right? And some opportunities are lost because someone does not ask. So I just want to switch gears just a little bit here, because 12 years is a really big deal in your field. I've seen so many companies up and down and flame out in 12 years. This is a fast moving industry, and you can ride a trend for a couple years. And then if you can't adapt, that trend's over, so is your business, but you've been able to keep things going. So when you started 12 years ago, did you think you'd be around 12 years later? I mean,
I had no idea. Looking back, I had no idea that it would grow to be this. So I'm very proud.
That's awesome. Okay.
it was me and a couple of key engineers that I worked with. Very small, literally working out of my basement, as
right. I love it.
Stereotype, right? But no, we're very proud. We're proud to be here in the North Shore with a beautiful empty office that someday we will return to.
Right.
But no, I didn't realize what I was building back then. And maybe it took me a couple of years to understand just how much impact we can have. When you fast forward to today, being rooted in the innovation center that is in Pittsburgh and helping lead in some way, and even giving back to the local region by, bringing products to market that can have immediate impact for immediate need, frankly, which is right now, feels amazing.
What's it been like going through the evolution of being like techie guy to I'm starting a small business to all of a sudden like you're like a business leader in the community now. You're a tech leader in the community now. It's like, yes, you got the coding and you got the engineering at heart, but you also you built the business side of thing. And now I see you also building this community side of thing as well too, because you're trying to get these businesses up, just like FiCrowd that can actually make an impact and make things better. Like, how's that journey been for you?
It's a maturation of a career that I probably fought a little bit because I said, no, we're all engineers. That's all we do.
Exactly.
When you realize you've built something and have a much more, a greater impact to the local region, it feels wonderful. I would not have predicted it, when we first started out. When we first started out, it was simply, we can do QA better than anyone else. If you have a QA problem, call Ben, call Rivers Agile, and they can fix it. And that was great. But now seeing what we have grown and what we plan to do, frankly, over the next 12 months is extremely exciting, something to be very proud of for sure.
I think it's an amazing story, 100%. It's one of the stories that I always say, it just happens in Pittsburgh. And that's why we're glad you're in Pittsburgh. We're glad you're on the North Shore. Neighbors with us at the Tech Council. When we get back to our offices one of these days, we need to get pizza at Stock Mono's or something like that.
We're going to do some swag, right?
Yeah. So one of these days soon. But in the meantime, you're driving that 18-wheeler down the road, man. You're hauling butt and you're breaking through barriers. Simple as that. You're not letting anything get in your way. And I just love that.
We're moving forward, even in the most awkward business year I've ever been around. We are moving forward, though, and I'm very excited about what we're going to do in the next 12 months. So.
Great story all the way around. And we're going to keep having updates from you, Ben, because I want to know the latest with FiCrowd and all the other companies you're going to start working with in order to get them to where they need to be. Awesome.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Good stuff, man. You're the best. And we can't thank Comcast enough for allowing us to tell these 50 stories. I can't believe we're going to be almost out of stories. We'll never be out of stories. I'll be out of 50. I might have to make it like the 55 stories of the summer or 100 stories.
There's 50 more in the fall. We'll just keep rolling through. I'll see you then.
Absolutely.